A rise in unemployment is affecting recent university graduates worldwide, delaying the career paths of many in the US, Canada, the UK, China, and India. Today, PressPeaK will be interviewing Demanyé Duncan, who has reported in her most recent article that a university education formerly regarded as a reliable path to many job opportunities now seems insufficient for graduates to gain employment. Demanye, thank you so much for joining us. Could you please give us an overview of the current situation?
Yes, of course, and thank you for having me. Recently, I was just doing research with surrounding graduate unemployment within the US, and as I was doing research, I also felt like with PressPeaK being a global media resource, I wanted to globalize it. And starting with the US, I learned, and then expanding to other countries across the world, I was learning that not only was it something that US graduates were experiencing, but it was also something that was happening among other countries within the world. And the ones that I focused on in my story are some of the countries that have the highest graduate unemployment or are experiencing some of the highest rate when it comes to unemployment and finding a job, or they're just experiencing the most difficult challenges. So it was just something that really just piqued my interest. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I'm a fellow Gen Z who's about to graduate, and it's definitely being felt on this end. Also in the UK, as you can tell by the London accent. So, yeah.
Yeah, so it was really like surprising for me. And it was also something like I experienced, which is how I found the story. But it was also something that I have an older brother, and like he and his friends, like they also went to college as well. And some of them were struggling as well too. So it necessarily wasn't something that like we were experiencing at this moment. Like it's something that has been progressing, and that's why I wanted to really draw attention to the issue as well.
Of course. I mean, given that, like, you've mentioned your brothers are struggling and quite a few people across the pond are also struggling, do you think it's the case that a degree is currently less valuable today than it was, say, like 5 or 10 years ago?
I absolutely agree. I do think a degree, at least a bachelor's degree, is less valuable than what it was 5 or 10 years ago. I think now, I feel like a lot of people, like, I hear it sometimes from my parents too. They're like, a bachelor's degree isn't enough. Like, maybe you should, like, get your master's. I think a master's has more value than a bachelor's. And I think if you do go back to school and you plan on getting a master's, you have a better chance or a better opportunity to receive a job within your study. But I definitely do believe that a bachelor's degree is less valuable today than it was back then.
Do you think it could be like a possibility that many students who cannot afford a master's after their bachelor's will be at a significant disadvantage?
Yes, I absolutely think students who cannot afford to go and receive their master's will be at a disadvantage. I think the norm is now getting a master's to get a job. So I definitely think it's going to put those students who did graduate with a bachelor's at a disadvantage. And I feel like the only thing they can really do is, network, build connections, and try to build that experience, because that's what students who are going to get their master's, they're not only are they building their experience, but they are going to come out with a master's degree as well, which will put them in a better position to receive a better opportunity. But yeah, I do think they're going to be at a disadvantage.
Yeah. I mean, this sounds like a very, very like widespread issue just for like absolutely everyone who's ever been through higher education and has gotten an undergrad or is working towards one. What do you think current world governments should do to mitigate this rising unemployment?
That's a really good question, and I don't necessarily know exactly what the government can do to provide better opportunity for people applying for jobs. But I do know that there are some governments that are providing unemployment assistance. So they are helping in terms of just like providing resources where they can network. I guess that's like one way that the government is helping. I don't know how helpful it is to recent graduate students, but I know like there are some governments that, you know, they're providing resources where, you know, they can still build those connections, or they have programs where you can like meet with other people and build those connections, and they are providing unemployment assistance in terms of just like funding or like money. So, but in terms of just, I really just think it's also an economic issue as well. So I feel like they would have to work out the issues when it comes to the economics of it, and I think that's why there's an increase in such graduate unemployment. I feel like it's also an economical issue, and that's why there's such an increase with it as well.
You mentioned a lot of like unemployment relief. Do you think this will like be more of like a long-term solution for recent grads?
Oh, it's definitely not a long-term solution for recent grads. I know like within the US, it also depends on what type of employment you're applying for, but part-time unemployment it only lasts you maybe like a certain amount of days. We're gonna do an estimate. It may be around like you can only apply for part-time unemployment for maybe about 80 days. That gives you a limited time to like find a job, and it's like if you don't find a job, then what are you like left to do? Or you can apply for full-time employment as well, but you're also gonna have to owe the government at the end of it. So it's definitely not a long-lasting solution. It's very temporary, and I don't necessarily think it's gonna put graduate students in a position that they want to be in.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's in a little bit of a bind at the moment.
I really think this generation, we're gonna have to just be entrepreneurs or leaders and just like build the careers we want for ourselves without having to rely on companies to offer that opportunity. I think a lot of us are just gonna have to like step in and like build our own career with the skills we learn through that bachelor's degree and try to make the best of it, honestly.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. Thank you very much. Before you go, do you have any advice for the most recent graduating class of 2025?
For the most recent grads of 2025, the advice I would give is keep applying. I feel like everyone's time is going to come. I feel like, you know, we just graduated, so obviously the market's going to be high. I would just keep applying, keep networking. There's so many like network opportunities you can meet through social media or through other people. And I just build and expand those connections. And I do think internships are a great way to, you know, build that network, you know, like with PressPeaK, like because it's such a global platform, I'm meeting people from different parts of the world. So if I just with those connections, we can be able to like help each other if you were to like come to the US or if I wanted to go to the UK or something. So I think you just really have to like throw yourself out there and try to make the best of your situation. It's still early, and I feel like obviously we're gonna feel discouraged, but don't let that get to you. You know, you're always gonna get a lot of no's before you get that yes. So just don't get discouraged, keep applying, build those connections, network, and I think one day hopefully we're all gonna get our dream job. So yeah.
Yeah, wiser words have never been spoken.